It's been 10 months since we've visited the prison near the colony of Canceron. Our last operation there left me extremely frustrated because there were mines all around this aforementioned prison complex. And though I have ships specially designed to disarm these mines, they weren't able to do that. And so I guess you would call my departure a rage quit. And yet lately I've wanted to play a strategy game. And to me that boils down to like 3 games that I have on hand. That would be this, Battlestar Galactica Deadlock, XCOM, or Civilization. And Civilization seems a bit bulky for my intentions, just to mess around with the strategy game for a little bit. So that really narrowed it down to XCOM and Battlestar. And despite the frustrations I've had with Battlestar, despite knowing that they did not update the game, and so the previous problems still exist, I intend to give it another try. I guess my determination is to not bother disarming these mines. After all, it's not a mission critical objective. It's just that these mines will hamper the movement of whatever fleet goes into this area. Nonetheless, I'm going to do it, come hell or high water. This may end poorly. It may end with another rage quit. On the other hand, I may get through it. I suppose only an attempt will tell. And so here we are. I do hope this stream finds you well. I'm doing good. It's a little early for me. I gotta confess, I don't usually stream during the day, but I've got time to myself here. It's my birthday weekend. Maybe they're giving me a break. No, the missus and my son went off to some relative's house. Some relative's house, her aunt's house. And so, yeah, that leaves me a little time to do this. So I think, first and foremost, I've got to kind of, not just for the sake of bringing any viewer, any potential viewer up to date, I need to bring myself up to date on what is going on in this game. I know that our problem exists in a system called Helios Delta. Specifically, I want to say it's Canceron. This colony here. I can check that to be sure. Canceron has problems all within its own. Before we do a briefing, let's confirm that is the planet. So it's Helios Delta. And yes, it is Canceron. So each of these colonies almost works like a state, under a federal government. And with that said, the state of Canceron they're a bit suspicious. The Cylons aren't fully departed from human contact, if that makes sense. After all, we built them, right? The early Cylons they prefer, their programming tells them to take orders from somebody or something. And of course, that used to be humans. We'd program them and they would be our servants, our soldiers, etc. And now they have an absence of that. Of course, they've replaced it with some kind of programming of their own, one that we haven't quite determined yet. Canceron is one of those states that they don't know where they stand. They want peace so desperately that they're willing to negotiate with the enemy. And they might deny that, but enough evidence exists to demonstrate that that's the case. So I know we'll have to deal with some politics as we send a fleet into here. I have designated... I'm building up 12 fleets, one for each colony. They are to be commanded by a officer nominated from said colony. So the fleet that will be operating here will be by birth a Canceron. Their commander is of Canceron origins. That really won't help the whole political scheme. He's a federal in their eyes. So maybe even a traitor. Hey Groucho, how you doing? Good to see you. Kind of playing, well, a strategy game, a little slower pace than... And I go at a slow pace as is. So in terms of the fleet that will be operating here, they're not currently orbiting the colony. Too much political crap for that. But our intention is to position them there. Let's take a look at said fleet. I believe this is it. Colonial Fleet 72. What I would call the Canceron Defense Fleet. It is commanded by a man named Lieutenant Colonel Hector Murray. He is not the most experienced commander that we have. His fleet it doesn't show any distinction over other fleets. It's capable. It's capable. In fact, we've buffed it up. We've allocated an additional light carrier to it. So it's kind of a bulky fleet, but that's just for the purposes of this mission. That is what I say. Designated Fleet 72 is the Canceron fleet. Its flagship is the Tethys. I presume I'm pronouncing that right. It's a frigate. Frigates are the heaviest hitters we've got so far. They are smaller than light cruisers, heavy cruisers. They're certainly smaller than what you would consider a carrier or a battleship. In terms of this game universe, those are battle stars. They're like a hybrid between a battleship and a carrier. Either way, there's no sense talking about them because we don't have them. Frigates are about as big as it gets. So the Tethys is a frigate. It is supported by 3 light carriers: the Anubis, the Herser, and the Bastat. Also supported by 3 destroyer classes. I love these little things. I'm sure they have cramped interiors and they're miserable to be aboard, but we've got the Lancer, the Thea, and the Eurybia. The Lancer has a bit of a distinction as it has seen action above and beyond most other ships. It's been around since Mission 1. You'll be better in an hour. You've got my curiosity piqued. Maybe going home from employment in an hour. But Groucho also says it's good to catch one of your streams when it's not after midnight my time. It's kind of good to be launching a stream prior to midnight. So of all these ships, I would say that the Lancer is the most famous, because right out the gate in our early operations, it did some heavy lifting. Albeit just a destroyer, it would be one that if I lost it, I'd be a little upset. Of course, I'd be upset if I lost any of these ships. Well, it is time to give this commander his orders. Again, it's going to be Lieutenant Colonel Murray. and I will go ahead and order Murray to begin preparations for a jump into Canceron space. And who knows? Who knows how this will go? Like I said, there are 12 fleets. Not all of them are full fleets. In fact, one is barely put together. I think it consists of one ship. The idea is that I get these fleets up to some standard. My standard is to have one frigate as a flagship, 2 support light carriers, and just kind of round it out with destroyers. Once I have that, I dispatch said fleet to its corresponding colony or planet, where it will serve as a defense fleet. Now, that's not going completely smoothly yet, but we're working on it. And this, I guess, is a small step in that direction. Now, before we go further, let's also find out the details of this particular mission, although I remember it. I remember it like a horrible nightmare that you can't shake.
Commander, Admiral, while we were anchored at Aquaria, Sinan came across some disturbing intelligence about one of our allies.
We finished debriefing the Celestra just a little while ago. Although the project was Tauran-owned, most of the crew is Canceran. Mostly engineers and deckhands working off family prison debts. Their opinions on Canceran's prison systems were scathing at best. One man insisted his uncle had been abducted by Cylons, herded out of the complex with a dozen other inmates, while the guards just stood by and watched. It didn't sound like an isolated incident either.
We've received no formal requests from the Canceran government to respond to these Cylon incursions.
We wouldn't.
But I have tracked Cylon IFFs to at least one station, with no hostile engagements publicly recorded by authorities.
That is reason enough to warrant a closer look. Commander, get a fleet to Canceran to investigate the prison station. I'll deal with any politicians on the ground as needed.
As you command. I would say that we are going to intervene in a situation regarding ingrates. The Canceron government won't be thankful in the least to see us there. But that's neither here nor there. We're doing it. Jump is successful. Nothing else has happened across the board, which is a relief. I have expected some other fleet to run into some kind of complication. Aha, out of work in an hour. Nice, nice. And so here we are. 7 ships will be involved in this. They fly without a support ship. That's not completely necessary anyways. Alright, Lieutenant Colonel Murray, it's time to shine. And again, I won't be able to disarm any of the ordnance in this area. But, you know, I'm just going to have to wing it. We will ignore the mines and operate as if, operate under the auspices of reality. We can't disarm them. We keep the fleet tight and away from our target, and I suppose we try to use fighters to do most of our, most of the mission objectives, which will certainly be getting Marines to the station to investigate it. There's also intel that there is another frigate in the area. It's a Canceron frigate. They'll probably just call it Adamant, so we'll go with that. That said, it will certainly follow our lead. And it could be a big help. After all, it's essentially another flagship. Now, considering the presence of mines, I'm going to keep the fleet's going to jump in, but they're going to jump in pretty far away. None of this is good, by the way. I mean, it's a shit show no matter how we look at it. Seeing as Lieutenant Colonel Murray is from Canceron, he understands the politics involved. I should also point out that they mentioned Sinan. I forget his rank. I hope he'll excuse me. But, you know, his rank's either like major or it's traitor. No, the truth is, he's kind of... He has too many attachments to the Cylons as well. Something maybe he and the Canceron government have in common. So honestly, he might be respected among them. I know. You would think no loyalty among traitors, but if they're on the same page politically, that may actually... The fact that he is with our fleet may actually help. So we've got our destroyers on the starboard flank, on the right flank, I should say. I'll lump them up because they hit well in force. And then we have the carriers supporting the flagship. Now these light carriers, they only carry one squadron, but they have a lot of guns. They don't have any ordnance in the way of missiles or torpedoes, but that's fine. Their guns are their strong suit. Rob, how are you? Good to see you, my friend. Thank you, sir. I'm saluting the screen. Is the Battlestar salute the same as... Yeah, they do the normal salute. None of this chest bump stuff. They do the real thing. Of course, what I describe as the chest bump stuff, that's actually a real salute, too, if you're carrying a rifle. Anyhow, I want to make sure that I have Raptors. Now, Raptors would be used to disarm this ordnance. Of course, they can't do that successfully. But they'll be used to transport Marines to the facility in question. And other than that, I think the carriers will all be carrying a squadron of Vipers to provide some support to said Raptor squadron. Vipers are very much fighter planes, I guess would be the comparison there. The Manticores, those are our Corvettes. Again, the Lancer is kind of a favorite, just because that old destroyer has been in this since day one. Here we go. I almost have a headache starting this because I'm afraid it'll end poorly.
Prepared to jump in 3, 2, 1. I have security forces stranded and hailing on distress channels. Multiple hostiles on the board, including one at the prison station.
Any word from inside the station?
None. The stranded security team has confirmed that the perimeter minefield is compromised and dangerous.
Commander, neutralize enough of the minefield so that we can get our Marines on that station. And let me know when the Canceran Parliament decides to wake up and do their job.
Negative. We will not be destroying any of the mines. It's quite impossible. However, let's turn our attention to the local security forces and ask them to link up with us post-haste. That is of the utmost importance.
So say we all.
So the Adamant will turn hard to starboard, keep its elevation, and go into a defensive posture.
Action stations.
Batten down all the hatches. They will also go ahead and launch their Raptors. Raptors aren't
Commander.
ideal in a defense capacity, but considering it's all the Adamant has, we're going to go with that. They will fly... Yeah, they'll fly a cap around it. It's the best we got. That said, we'll go ahead and launch all Viper squadrons. Because ultimately, we want to fly one of them out there to the Adamant. We will also launch our own Raptors. Not quite yet. Might as well keep them safe. I want all ships to fly at what would we call this? Impulse speed. Well, frankly, as slow as they can, in order to not go headlong into that minefield.
So say we all.
Yeah, so say we all. That goes for the slightly bigger ships, too. Slow it down. We'll keep advancing forward, then we'll make a hard turn to port. In order to link up with the Adamant. It could offer us support, and we'll take all the support we can get. He said chest bomb, and I imagined a diamond tie bouncing chest. Oh, chest bump. There are times I think where they almost did that. What is a minefield that's not yours anything but dangerous? That's a fair question and a keen observation. So these orbs, that's going to show the radius of mines. Now there are more. I mean, they're everywhere. They almost look like stars unless I get real close to them. You can see one. But that one is not armed yet. Hold on. Just by saying that, that one is not armed yet. We will go ahead and launch Raptors, because if some of these aren't armed, that gives us an open door. So yes, we've got everything launched. I think we're good to go. Let us focus on the Adamant for this turn. After all, I think they're going to be under the most pressure. Easy enough. Okay, in terms of the Adamant, let's go ahead and kick those thrusters on full. And, yeah. I gotta remember how to do that. There we go. Nope. I'm not trying to target lock anything. Sorry, I'm gonna have to reacclimate myself with the controls. No, we are not trying to target lock. I'm trying to do that. Get us at full speed and change some elevation, just because I fully expect some ordnance to come our way. Now, this thing, by default, you would almost want to start disarming some of those mines, but since we cannot do that, he is just going to defend his home ship. I think that sounds good. Meanwhile, the flagship, the Tethys, will
On it, Commander.
turn to port. Of
On it,
course,
Commander.
the entire fleet will follow suit.
So say we all.
As for the destroyers, while I don't totally want to keep them separate, I think they'll make their turn subsequent to this round. The only other thing I want to do is go ahead and order a Viper squadron out to the Adamant to give it a proper defense, or as best we can afford them anyway. Board the Canceron prison station. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little hesitant to send the Marines right away. I imagine the Cylons will be launching their fighters immediately. So if I can remove some of that, then we have a better shot at getting Marines aboard that base. I don't know if that decision will pan out or not, but we'll find out. So far, so good. I do believe the Adamant will link up with us. And let's go ahead and check out the disposition of the enemy once I get this in order. Slow down. There's mines everywhere. There's no need to be going headlong into this stuff.
So say we all. So say we all.
And like I said, Lieutenant Colonel Murray has very little accolades. He's not very experienced, to be honest. So this is kind of to quote our president, this is a big fucking deal for him. Oh, by the way, this stream is not intended for ages 13 or younger. If you'd like to join the community, there's a link to the Discord in the description. There's also a link to the PayPal if you'd like to support the channel financially. Now, where was I? They are launching fighters. I hate to say good deal, but good deal. They've got 2 fighter squadrons, as best I can tell. We don't have specifics on them, but they're definitely fighter size. And yeah, that's great. That plays into our hand. We want to remove them, and uh,
Squadron
then
target
go
is
ahead and
confirmed.
send the Marines. While not necessary, I do believe it's the best move we can make at this time. At this point, we'll have the destroyers turn to port in order to maintain some kind of what's the word I'm looking
Understood.
for?
On it,
Well,
Commander.
just to keep the fleet together, really. All right, here goes. Missiles inbound. Scratch that. Torpedoes inbound. Those are unguided ordnance, so as long as the adamant keeps moving, does some tricky stuff like, actually, speed is great, but we are going to slow him down because we'd like to get back into a defensive posture just in case it takes a hit. We'll turn to port and raise elevation. I think that'll be fine. This Raptor is going to try to intercept some of that ordnance, and so too will the fighter squadron, who is now in the area where I want them to be. They're in a position to support the adamant. Okay, I mean that's what we got. Hey, True, good to see you. How's True doing? Since they're not armed, it's too bad they can't be elbowed out of the way. I totally agree. I wouldn't want to be the pilot charged with that, but yeah, I would like to see that nonetheless. Better in 40 minutes now, but who's counting, right? Alright, let's see. I think I've determined all my moves. Let's go for it. Are these going to connect? No, they're not. Well done, Adamant.
Sir, Cancer and Defense and Interior is on the line.
Oh,
Well,
good.
that didn't take long.
Nope.
You are far from home, Colonial Fleet. I expect this is a friendly visit, unless there is another good reason to breach Canceran orbit with your warships.
Colonial security.
Minister Winutu, we are cooperating with local security to investigate a Cylon presence as yet unreported by your department. Unless Canceran has objections to the 4th and 7th articles, we will proceed with our operation.
As stated, of course they're not happy to see us. Not even if this fleet is comprised of Canceron personnel. They still don't like the whole federal thing. I dare say I think they like the Cylons better. So now we return
Yes,
our aft to the enemy. Not something I prefer doing, but again, it's just to keep us away from those mines. I wonder if this elevation could be changed. Yeah, we'll dive a little bit with that carrier. Yeah, we're backing off.
Yes,
we're gonna
sir.
let the fighters do most of the heavy lifting at this point, anyways.
Yes, Commander.
And on that note, we have now identified one of the incoming squadrons. It is simply a pair of heavy raiders. Now, it's been so long, I don't even remember what the heavy raiders are capable of. I do think they're bringing stronger ordnance than you would typically find on fighters. But that's okay. We are moving to intercept them. Moreover, I talked about the amount of guns on these carriers. We're going to keep a broadside using the Herser, this carrier here. It's going to open up its broadside guns on this incoming squadron. To effect that, they will go into offensive
Firing
mode.
solutions updated.
General quarters, if you will, and battle stations. and they will focus their fire on those heavy raiders. I also think I should position a second carrier on this other squadron. Yeah. Well, as of now, he's not really focused on the squadron, but he's just starting to get into position. And that should do it. I think those are our moves. I don't see any threat of collisions within the fleet. I'm half tempted to send this squadron out as well. This is a squadron that was designated to defend that adamant. Let me get to it. There it is. Yeah, let's go a little overkill on this unknown squadron. And here goes.
Admiral Kane, I insist. We do not need the help of Colonial Fleet with internal security matters. Cancerin law enforcement is en route to the station as we speak.
This is clearly a wartime engagement with hostile forces. We will not turn around and leave colonial citizens to be killed.
I expect you to act in accordance with your articles, Admiral. And as yet, no branch of Cancerin government has formally asked for your help.
We don't need
Minister Winnetou, surely you understand how this looks to Colonial Fleet. I appreciate there is a sensitivity regarding these facilities, but this is not the time for political jousting.
Ah, Mr. Quaid. I did not realize you were still indentured to the Capricans. Very well. Do as you must. We will clean up whatever mess Colonial Fleet leaves in its wake. At their expense, of course.
Press A to play. Let me mess with my batteries real quick. I'm not sure what's going on with that. That's funny. Quaid speaks up and she suddenly says it's okay. Again, kind of reinforcing the notion that he's not completely on the up and up. But at least he's on our... he appears to be on our side. Enough so that she knows that she and he are on the same page, or he and the Canceron government are on the same page, and even he is saying, this is okay, just let this happen. And that's enough for the politician to step
Yes,
down.
sir.
Alright, let's get, the ship needs to come over a little bit, dive, and start getting its turrets into the fight against those. I think it's also... is it time to send the Marines? I think it is. Let's go for it. This is just a shot in the dark, but... here we go. Board the prison station if you can. And, in fact, we'll send 2 groups of them. Just to be safe. I almost feel like I should spread them out a little more, but no, they're just gonna make a mad dash. Fucking politicians. Living the dream. Glad to hear it. Here's our Marines, not
Fighter
taking
squadron
any
is
fire
taking fire.
yet. Yeah, that's kind of expected. Let's see. Are the enemy fighter squadrons, have they been dispatched? I do believe so. I do not see their signals anymore, so we're going to send a fighter squadron to support the Marines. And in fact, we should probably send 2. 1 for each pair of Raptors. And this fighter squadron will be recalled back to its, well, back to the flagship. Just go ahead and defend the flagship. I do believe that's all we're gonna accomplish in this round. We are just gonna keep running, though. Fingers crossed that our Marines can get through. These two can start making a port side turn to regain some kind of position, reestablish some kind of position. I will keep my eye on the Marines. After all, that is the most important aspect of this operation at this point. Got more incoming missiles. Torpedoes, rather.
Missiles incoming!
Yeah, they're gonna hit too, aren't they? Why, they sure are. This is the Adamant. This is the local security forces ship. He's gonna
Understood.
dive. It's not gonna be enough. Here, he's already battened down all the hatches and all that good stuff. The flagship, yes.
So say we all.
Lieutenant Colonel will order it to climb. I think everything should climb. Everything downwind, down space of that torpedo barrage. Definitely don't want our destroyers to get hit because they
So
can't
say
take
we
a
all.
whole lot. As badly as I want to look at the Marines, I think, actually, how far do they have to go? Yeah, they still have some, they do still have some distance. Alright, we're gonna look at this ship while it takes a hit. Not yet. Sadly, Rob, it's, we're early game. I got to this mission just about 10 months ago and realized I couldn't disarm these mines and kind of walked away. I rage quit, thinking, you know, with a glitch like that, you can't win this mission. But then I've been thinking it through, and I'm thinking, if I can just avoid the mines and get my Marines on the prison station, we're good. But that doesn't really address the question. Since it's so early game, the heaviest we've got at this point is frigates. Yeah, not even cruisers. And the flagship of this particular fleet is this one, the Tethys. Now, fortunately for us, there was another, what I call it, frigate. There was another frigate in the area operating independently of our fleet. So this one is linked up with us, which honestly, you know, that's quite a boost to pretty much double our flagship. Now, that said, it's going to take a lot of damage right now to its starboard side. But, well, let's see exactly what all that entails.
Missiles incoming!
Damn. Every single one. Every single one. I would love to have a battle
Hostile
star,
unit
though.
identified.
Okay, we are taking direct fire from a Cerastes class gunship. Not a big ship, but it's got a lot of forward guns. And it, too, they're really picking on the Adamant. They want, so I'm going to turn the Adamant away. It'll turn its rear to them. After all, it has more shielding on its rear now that its starboard side is all torn up. These ships, I noted that they have a lot of guns as well. They're broadside guns. They're also kind of positioned topside. I mean, they can shoot low to some extent, but if something's below them, they'd have problems. They will go into offensive posture. And yeah, put as much fire on that Cerastes as possible. I suspect that these can outgun a Cerastes, but I don't know for sure. This too should dive a little bit. We don't want it having to fire through its ally. But I don't think it'll need to. So, yeah, it's already on offensive posture. Put all your guns on that. And you know, it's time for some retaliation. We will fire guided missiles
Understood.
from the Adamant. He will not change his posture because he needs to be in defensive mode. And the flagship will also... yeah, guided missiles. Go for it. However, he'll go into offensive posture. And what that'll do is we'll essentially be able to fire a few more missiles. And if you were in defensive mode, it'd be a few less missiles, but of course you'd be able to sustain slightly more damage.
So say we all.
I don't think this ship's guns could even... Well, they can try to target it, I guess. Put them in offensive posture because that will increase their rate of fire. Alright, how about these Marines? This is it. They're in the final stretch. The one that's trailing, we're going to change its orders. It is not going to land. It's instead going to fly right over it. It'll shift its priority to a spotting mission, and we're just going to hope that that other one can do this, because the fighter cap is going to go ahead and turn back toward the fleet at this point. I mean, after all, they've gotten them pretty damn close, and there's no sense in them loitering around that station, so I'd like them to come back. Biggest problem we've got right now is the Sarah-stays, and we'll see if these light carriers can retaliate efficiently.
Adamant is taking damage.
But yeah, no battle stars in this fleet or the entirety of the fleet. Strongest we can field is those frigates. We will be getting some
Yes,
battle
sir.
stars soon. But even in that case, it's not going to be the quote unquote modern battle stars. We're going to start with the class that, I forget what they call it, but it would be essentially an exact replica of the, 78, 79 show. Then you get something a little more Galactica class, would be an upgrade from that, obviously. And then you get something a little more Pegasus class, which is certainly something we want. So we have the Adamant getting back on course with the main fleet. We are starting to see that is going to be, we have 2 enemy destroyers coming up behind us. So it's time. It is time. We'll have these destroyers come about, and the 3 of them are going to engage that. As for the other enemy destroyer, boy, I want to prioritize the Sarah-stays. Alright, it's time to get into some kind of broadside here. We'll have the carrier and the flagship turn to starboard and bring their guns to bear on this destroyer, which I'm sure is playing hell on... No, actually, that's still in great shape. That won't last long, I don't think, but yeah, we'll get some kind of broadside going here. Posture's offensive, that's great. Posture on this one is also offensive. Yeah, that's about all we're going to do at this point. Our fighters are returning. Our Marines are almost there. Almost. Now, this pair of Raptors should get on yeah, they should go ahead and identify that. After all, they're the only ships we have out there. So if they can identify the long-range enemies, that'd be That'd be something, anyhow. We do want to know what we're up against. As of now, the only things we can identify are Sarastate's gunship and 2 destroyers. Destroyers can launch... They've been launching those torpedoes. So taking them out would not be bad. Thing is, I know the Cylons have a flagship here. I know it's... it's going to be something along the lines of a light cruiser. I don't believe those are the designations the game uses, but for a real-world counterpart, I would say it's a light cruiser. Have storms rolling in. I hope you don't lose. It's my second favorite sci-fi universe. Yeah, this is really up there for me as well. Galactico is a 50-year-old ship in the 2004 series. So yeah, so what they kind of did in this game, this is the first Cylon War, so the Galactica is essentially state-of-the-art at this time. That's, what was that, the Jupiter-class battle stars? And so I guess, I think it's Artemis. Hold on. Was this the Adamant or the Artemis? It's an Adamant. Okay, so, how am I trying to put this? So the Galactica is a Jupiter-class battlestar. The way this game treats it is the precursor to that was the Artemis. Yeah, I think that's right. The Artemis-class battlestar, which is exactly that late 1970s, early 1980s version of the Battlestar Galactica, if that makes any sense. That's what it looks like. It's the precursor to the Jupiter class, which is the precursor to the... whatever the Pegasus is. I don't remember what class that is. It may be Pegasus class. I don't quite recall. Yeah, the Pegasus was state-of-the-art in the 04 series. So to be honest, the Pegasus class doesn't exist in most of this game. Because it's not... well, just because it doesn't exist. There is a non-canon DLC for this where you can get that class, but it's kind of unrealistic for a sci-fi game, I know, to use it because it didn't exist at any point during this war. I mean, it was brand new, as you say, it was brand new during the second Cylon War, and this is the first Cylon War. So truly, Jupiter class is top of the line. Still, you gotta get out that Pegasus every now and then and play with it, because it's a damn fine ship. And big. It's big. I gotta check damage on this. Jeez. These little gunships, I mean, they're small, but man, they pack a punch. Luckily, they're not packing a punch against that, or that. What are they hitting? They're still hitting... yeah, so that'll... actually, I do not want to turn to starboard, because that would just be opening up my starboard side to more damage, and I can't afford to do that, really. Yes, and we'll get those flipped around. Let's do it.
Marines are on station and engaging with Centurions. Inmates and security personnel are displaced, but mostly unharmed.
That was a good round. Albeit a brief one, they all are brief. That was a good round. Why? Our Marines touched down. We're already getting intel back from them. The second group of Raptors, the one that was, that's also carrying Marines, has identified this rear ship, which is essentially a non-threatening ship. It has guns, but it's nothing to be worried about. Meanwhile, up near the main fleet, our destroyers have spun around and are starting to put fire on the enemy destroyers. And so that's good stuff.
Understood.
Their forward guns are on the bottom, so we do want to elevate. Also, I have to keep in mind that these ships are about to fire missiles, so we don't want them. They can hit each other, and so we kind of want to space them so that that's not going to be an issue.
So say we all.
Okay, so I want all of them on offensive
Firing
posture.
solutions updated.
All of them, but not that. All of them putting their guns on that destroyer just to take it out. Oops, I forgot the offensive posture. A lot of micromanagement in this title. And do I fire missiles yet? I don't think I do with those top two destroyers for fear of them hitting each other, but I think the bottom one is clear to do it, so he's going to go ahead and launch. Meanwhile, this frigate, which I'd prefer not to lose, he's taken all of his damage on the starboard side, and he's got his port side facing the enemy, so that's good. He will actually take a risk and go into offensive posture. And oh, he already fired? Okay. We'll get its turrets on that then. So he's reloading is the issue there. Now, I said the last round was pretty good. Here's the problem. This is a Revenant class. Like I said, it's kind of like a cruiser. It's clearly going to be the flagship of the Cylons here. You might also notice, if you're a fan of Battlestar Galactica, you will undoubtedly notice this. This does not look like a Cylon base star. It doesn't look like their style of ships. The thing is, they're working on that. Right now, they're so inundated with human design and function that they're almost replicating what we're fielding, right? This almost looks like a Battlestar more than a Cylon ship. It will get outdated, and the Cylons will start bringing out those saucer-shaped ships that are very emblematic of Cylons. But I kind of like that. At the beginning, they don't have anything else to go off of. They're not using their own designs yet. They're, well, slightly kind of a bastardization of our designs. Man. So, okay, we've got an issue here with these two light carriers. They're lagging behind a little bit. Actually, no. If they join the broadside...
Yes, Commander.
...and fix their guns on... in a way, I hate to ignore their flagship, but we're going to do just that. We're going to try to take out the support ships. Because if I can take them out, at least we don't have to worry about missiles. And yes, their flagship is going to tear into us, and yes, I run the risk of losing a ship or two. And I don't want to do that, but it's just a risk we're going to have to take. You know what? This little raptor is going to add insult to injury, and I'm going to fire rockets at that. Why not? Actually, whoa. This thing might actually be a bit of a saving grace. They're going to go after the enemy flagship. What they're going to try to do is land and drop Marines on their flagship. And what that'll do is that'll create confusion on that flagship. And it will be fighting at, I don't want to say half strength, but diminished strength. Unrealistic. Thank you, yes. I.e. not part of the continuity yet. Very well said. Unrealistic when speaking about Battlestar Galactica is something of a turn of phrase, indeed. I had some kind of smell. Hey, Twin Tail, how you doing? Good to see ya. Looks like a converted colonial Battlestar from the original series. Yeah, I agree. It's almost a shame that we can't field any of these, but they don't, they have their limitations, but I'm not trying to downplay the bite that thing has. It's guns, especially those forward guns, and that's why I'm especially concerned about these carriers, and surprised that they haven't taken too much damage yet. I think that's starting to happen with the rear carrier, but, we'll see. I'm tempted to throw him into defensive mode. In fact, I will do that with him, with the Herser. put that one in defensive. He might go back into offensive mode once he's established his broadside and has guns fixed on him. Do they have rockets available? No, reloading. And I guess I'm trying to see if anybody can fire, aside from these two destroyers that I fear will hit each other with their ordnance. So, okay, that'll do. Let's see what happens. And it appears that our fighters are almost back in the AO.
Missiles incoming!
Okay. I don't know how that round yet. I guess it went yet. I think we're going to find out. The Lancer is being hacked. They're tearing through its firewall. They haven't quite accomplished that yet, but they're about to. And then it appears that they're trying to access its fire control systems. That said, it will go ahead and fire now. It'll fire its missiles now before things get too bad with its fire control.
Understood.
It should also climb, I think, because I'm still not confident that they're clear of each other's ordnance. Meanwhile, the Thea... And if you weren't here at the beginning when I was describing this fleet, the Lancer, this little destroyer right here, she's been involved in these operations since day one, and so she kind of is a favorite in terms of the destroyer class. She's got a nice record under her belt, so I really don't want to lose her. But again, I also don't want to play favorites. Every single one of these ships is vital,
Understood.
are they not? How's our posture? We are on a good attack posture. I feel like firing missiles at this is it's kind of overkill, so let's hit the other one. No, when I say the other one, I mean the other one that's right here. You cancel that because I'm not confident they were aiming at the right one. We want that one that's also hacking the Lancer. And what I'm really concerned with is when this thing brings its guns to bear on the destroyers, because you talk about fly swatting. That's kind of what that would be analogous to. All you got is turrets. We'll just lay into that. Lay into their flagship, please. Oh, hell. One mine activated right there. I don't know if our flagship is clear of it. I don't think we are. I think we are about to take some heavy damage to our belly on the what is this, the Tethys? Yeah.
Yes,
We don't want to
Commander.
lose that, because then we lose the commanding officer of the fleet. So I do play favorites with that one. Can't fire guided missiles yet, but we can put our guns on it. And the adamant. Oof. Looks like the enemy flagship is bearing down on the adamant. The adamant was on detached service. It's not technically part of our fleet. I mean, right now it's happy to be. I would be too. And meanwhile, our Marines are closing on the enemy flagship, but they've got a ways to go. So I'm not going to bank on them making the difference here. And then we have a second squad of Marines aboard the prison station. Essentially completing our mission objective. Oh no, not the Lancer! If I haven't read the comments above it, I missed some. Sorry about that. Oh, it still had that new Groucho smell. Thank you. Thank you for clearing that out. Pegasus is a Mercury class Battlestar. Ah, thank you. Oh boy, okay. I missed some good comments here. I never got heavily into Battlestar Galactica. Of course, I was maybe 1 when it was popular. Since you're saying 79, and I was newly minted back then. I was 77 here, so. And I really wasn't into the initial series. I was more into the '04 series. I did watch the old stuff when that was out. Like, while waiting for the next episode, I went back and watched the old stuff. And I am a little biased towards the '04 series, but. So, which one is the Enterprise? It's the one right next to the Millennium Falcon, which is closest to your screen right now. Then I was fresh out of the box, says Groucho. And that explains the new Groucho smell. Yeah, he says I had some kind of smell. The Cylon warships, I don't know. I don't think they're ugly. But I preferred the colonial stuff. Well, the Cylons were more machine than human, so their ships didn't need any kind of life support, so they could make, man, you'll have to forgive my ignorance, uniquely? Or uniquely, and maybe autocorrect, gotcha, I don't know. It's probably my own ignorance. Non-humanoid ships. That's, the smell remark. The smell was referring to the small and packs of puns comment. Although that too would be fitting. It's got the legendary plot armor. Unfortunately, that doesn't apply to the Lancer. I wish it did. But you know what? It's still in great shape. It's just its systems are what's going to be failing here in a second. I think we've got everything in order. Let's go for it. Okay, Lancer. Ouch. Well, he is definitely focusing his fire on our flagships, right? Starboard side. Well, we'll loop around this way. We'll turn our rear and then show it our port side. This ship doesn't necessarily need to do that. It can just kind of continue to circle.
So say we all.
The enemy ship, the enemy flag, which is under a lot of pressure. I'm actually delighted that we've got it by the small hairs.
Yes, sir.
Not that the Cylon ships have hair. They might. Some of their tech is biological. Oh, I still want to take out those support ships. Yep. We're just going to keep pounding the enemy flagship with our guns and really just put missiles on the support fleet. Well, that's all the missiles we can put on them. Now, fire control is screwed for the Lancer. So, what do I do? Well, let's see. It's already fired its ordnance. Let's get it the hell out of there, honestly. And yes, I would do the same for any ship. I just think that's one way to just get out of range of the hacking, repair, get fire control back online, and then hopefully there's still time for the Lancer to get back into combat. My only hesitation is I don't know what this is, and I do wonder if it's going to intercept the Lancer. And of course, the Lancer doesn't have fire control online, so that would be a mess. But what it lacks in attack strength at this point, it sure as hell makes up for it with speed. They are the fastest ships in the Colonial Fleet. So it should be able to get clear. That's the hope. Better check my light carriers. Which one is this? This is the Herzer. Not looking great. Not looking great.
So say we all.
Okay, so we are expecting far less ordnance from the enemy. I'm going to send my all fighter squadrons. All fighter squadrons. Hit that flagship. Yep, hit the flagship.
Understood.
I know there's destroyers out there that can fire ordnance, and fighter squadrons are only defense because we don't have flak on any of these smaller ships. But let's go. What kind of shape is that in? Well, he's in okay shape now, but that's about to change in a hurry. Last thing I think I could do is order these ships to focus their fire. That is the destroyers, anyways. Focus that fire on the destroyer. And if we remove that, they've only got one more destroyer on the board that I'm aware of. In total, they'll only have 4 more ships. Unfortunately, one of those is their flag, but... Hell yeah. Alright, that's a good deal. It's a very good deal. I think we just saved one of our ships or two with the destruction of that. Yeah, we turn our rear to that destroyer. This is our flagship.
Understood.
We'll go ahead and fire missiles at them. This carrier will start to dive, put its turrets on the same destroyer. Our destroyers will certainly be focusing on... Oh, gosh, okay, so he's being hacked. They're not quite through the firewall. And again, they're trying to target fire control. Guess they don't like these forward guns hitting them. But they're almost knocked out too. Still curious about what this is. And in fact, the Marines that were en route to land on the enemy flagship can go ahead and... actually, the Marines have very little to do with it anymore. It's really a matter of the Raptors themselves serving a reconnaissance function. So they'll go identify that, figure out if it's a threat. I'm starting to think that it's not a big threat. If it were a large ship, its guns would already be in range, and maybe they are, but I'm not seeing much in the way of damage, yeah. If it was a big ship, it'd be tearing into the Lancer. Which, by the way, will start to curve away. And let's get to repairing our fire control.
System repairs underway.
Excellent. I think things are going better than expected. We'll see if any glitch pops up. That's my biggest fear now, is the Cylons have hacked into the game proper. And so, yeah, glitches are my biggest fear. Alright, I think we're gonna see this destroyer get destroyed. That was quick.
IFF confirms unit is hostile.
Yeah. It's a freaking carrier, so that's not a big deal at all. Cylons have, what, 1 carrier? Maybe, 2 carriers on the board. 2 carriers and a destroyer. Well, hell yeah. So destroyer is the biggest problem. I'll have the entire fighter command go after them, because that destroyers don't react well to that kind of harassment. Even the carriers have slightly better defense against a bunch of fighter squadrons. Not great, though. This Raptor squadron has done its job, and nobody is dead.
Understood.
Head back. Head back and land. We don't want to run into that mine. So we'll start climbing, try to get over it. Do the same with this ship.
Yes, Commander.
Our destroyers will turn... You know what? These aren't destroyers. I keep calling them destroyers. They're corvettes. Even smaller. They will put their guns on that. And this one, the Eureba, or Eurybia, I guess, they will fire missiles at that. And the Lancer is repairing. They've still got a while. More turrets on that. Kind of turn a broadside
Yes,
to
Commander.
them. Now, for me, the one of the tricks of this game is kind of one of the things that gets you. One of the traps is when you wipe out, you know, your intended targets, and then you get kind of complacent, and you start skipping things. You start not worrying about this ship so much, and that's when you lose ships. So this one needs our flagship needs to protect its starboard side, so we'll turn our port to the enemy.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I believe everything's in order. What do I want to watch specifically? I think this enemy destroyer. That really is a destroyer. Okay. It got a little final hurrah, sending those torpedoes into the Bastet. The Bastet, by the way, needs to come about and stay clear of these mines that are still not active, but nonetheless, they're mines. Huh. That's weird. Somebody fired ordnance that, I don't know. His tracking got screwed up or some shit. Just seeing if I have any missiles to launch it. Yep, here we go. The Thea can fire.
Understood.
Keep these climbing and slightly turning
So
to
say we all.
starboard. We don't all need to say it. Just do it. Alright, I think that'll work. What's the Lancer look like? Yeah. It's got its weapon system. Well, they're not online until we're done repairing them, but we'll start bringing it back in. And here we go. Yeah, this this carrier won't be able to take much of this. Yeah, it's not long for this world. Or, well, this world doesn't really... That doesn't really...
Understood.
It's not applicable, right? Really, my biggest concern at this point is just collisions and whatnot. Their two carriers is just not a significant threat. And so we'll keep it going. And I gotta keep in mind that they have another carrier out here. That said, we'll go ahead and dispatch fighters on it.
Understood.
Yep, all fighters on that since it's untouched.
Yes, sir.
And meanwhile, we will focus on this Talon, which is that enemy light carrier. Hey Samuel, how you doing? Good to see you. Alright, that's been knocked out. Lancers still got a little bit of repairs to do. They will kill their thrusters and start jockeying for position here. Which would really, all that entails is climbing.
Yes, Commander.
Because again, their forward guns are down below, not up top. Their rear guns are up top. So sometimes you gotta factor that into their positioning. All right. Any of these fire missiles yet? Yeah, the Lancer can. They shouldn't though. Let's hold. Maybe next round, because then I think those
So say
repairs
we
will
all.
be completed. They can fire missiles, but I'm firing through so many allied ships that I don't think it's wise. No sense in taking damage that we don't need to take. These two are kind of drifting off, and the question is, do I ride them off? I think I do, because there's no way they'd be able to get there in time. However, the detached service adamant, they actually have a clear shot, and so they might as well take it. No, wait, did I just fire at the prison station? Cancel that. It's not good. Our Marines are on that station. Oh no, okay, it was just...
Understood.
Fair enough. Yeah. Alright, so we'll focus on this last Talon, because obviously it's going to be getting the brunt of our focus. As long as there's no collision warnings. No, I don't think there are. About the only thing that I want to adjust here is bring the Lancer out of repair, so they'll cancel repair. That'll bring your guns and ordnance back online. We'll get back into an offensive
All hands
posture.
on deck.
She's yelling at me. And then, go ahead and fire missiles, too. Can we do the same with the other two quartets? Yeah, we can fire
Understood.
missiles. Alright, let's do that. And you can see already that the Talon, it's got broadside guns. It looks like it has some up on, like dorsal guns, I guess you'd call them. A couple of them, anyways. Either way, they're all very light. And they don't have a great rate of fire, either. It's about the time they're going to want to start thinking about jumping away. But they're not going to. Let's peel off so we don't collide with the enemy. That would do some damage, but purely unnecessary. And, provided we don't have any collisions, I think we can just let it go. Yep. Nice.
All hostile marks are down, and the prison compound is secured.
You appear to have an agreeable impact on the minister's decision-making, Sinan. There's some history there, I assume?
Merely professional courtesy. I've worked for Shashenka in the past. She is as ambitious as she is morally reductive. I'm surprised you don't get along with her better, Lucinda.
Okay, Quaid. I got the same sense that you're in league with her, but whatever. Well done, Lieutenant Colonel Hector Murray. Got yourself some accolades. Some commendations, to be sure. And every single ship survived. That is a night and day departure from my last 6 attempts at this mission. What was different? I didn't bother with the mines. I couldn't because of a game glitch. But I didn't even bother with that, and this Canceron fleet got an additional ship or two, and that certainly made a difference. The Bestat light carrier, that's what it was. It wasn't a ship or two. It was truly just that. And of course, they were joined by that other frigate, the Adamant. So that's good stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and play the replay. I gotta tell you, I'm getting a little popping from the game sound, but I'll try to work on that for next time. Here is the battle replay.
Get every gun ready and bearing on the hostile.
Every single one of our pilots come home today. Understand?
Time to make a bunch of mama toasters cry.
Mark incoming on priority 1.
Escort priority 1 still online.
Escort clearance zone is active. Target 1 is stay back. Not today.
Adjusting shot by .06. Fire.
Give me manual controls now.
That was a big moment.
They're breaching our firewall.
Almost makes it look easy, but I can attest that that is not an easy mission.
Position updated. Target acquisition maintained.
But suffice to say, Lieutenant Colonel Murray's stock has risen. After many attempts, yeah. And we can establish a presence orbiting Canceron, and much to the chagrin of the Canceron government. But those ingrates are going to take it. There was the final Talon down. And you know, the kind of the fun one of the things I was always intrigued with this game is when you go into the view replay, you can actually edit where the camera is, put the camera where you want, and all that good stuff. That's kind of nice for putting together a little cinematic style video. I'm not going to do that, but that option exists, which is pretty cool. Anyways, I salute you, Lieutenant Colonel Murray. Good job. I am doing quite well. Did I already answer that? I may have. But yes, thank you for asking, Samuel. And yes, it did, yeah. Near the end there, it did look like we had it in the bag, and we did have it in the bag. Very pleased with that. It's just, I'm elated to get past that mission. If you weren't here at the beginning of the stream, I had reminisced about how I rage quit after 6 attempts on that mission. And, you know, not being able to disarm mines, I don't know if that was isolated to the mission there at Canceron. I hope it was, because I know that later that will only grow, that problem. We'll see more mines, and if they ever become mission critical, that'll be a serious issue. Well, actually, that'll end it, you know. The better part of judgment tells me I should end it with that, but there is some housekeeping to attend to. For instance, let's see, the situation in Helios Alpha. This is the bed of civilization in this universe, Helios Alpha. Because you have the really big colonies, the governing colonies, and the seat of the colonial government is here. The planets there are Caprica, the aforementioned seat of the colonial government, our headquarters, as it were. Right now, there's no fleet defending it. It's in a bad way. There's Cylon fleets bombarding it. We can't do anything about it. We just don't have the resources. We do have fleets in the area, but to go in there and try to bully 2 large Cylon fleets is a bit above their pay grade. Helios Alpha also consists of Geminon, known for their sports teams, really. Pycon, which was the seat of Naval Headquarters, but Naval Headquarters was destroyed by the Cylons, so we kind of withdrew to a different star system. And Tauron, very much the... oh, how can I put this? Well, let's just say agriculture is Tauron's big thing. I think. I don't quite remember, but right now, Tauron is in trouble. Not to say that Geminon and Caprica aren't, but Tauron is in trouble, and there is a Tauron defense fleet. As soon as a Cylon showed up at Tauron, that defense fleet jumped out of there, because their commander figured we don't have the numbers to fight them. So that is the problem I think I want to deal with next. That said, let's take a look at that Tauron fleet and see what the problem was, why they jumped away. So their command ship is the Rhea. And yeah, I see the problem already. They're mostly comprised of corvettes. 1 light carrier and a frigate. So yeah, that's not necessarily impressive. Could they defeat that Cylon fleet? Yes. But it would cost us big time. So I would assume that I need to get another carrier out to them and maybe another Corvette before they turn around and jump back into Toron space. The hope is that they can kind of sit at this planet unmolested until that moment arises. That's more complicated than I make it sound because, of course, first we have to develop the ships, and I do think we are producing ships over here. But none of them are ready. Well, let's confirm that we are actually building said ships. Yes, we are. We are building 2 carriers and the frigate is called, what is that? Usambara. Usambara, baby. Usambara? What a name. But you know, instead of Corvettes, I could send 2 carriers out there. The tricky part is getting the carriers out there. They're going to fly out there on their own. And even the journey, I mean, if their journey is, if they run into Cylons on the way, that's going to spell trouble, because after all, it is just 2 carriers. I would be remiss not to repair the fleet that just saw action. So we'll begin repairs there. It appears that we got an extra ship out of that, or what? What is going on with this fleet? What is that? Oh. Interesting. Who does this fleet belong to? This is the Sagittarian fleet, commanded by Hector Murray. Well, okay. So then what is that fleet? Weird. That's the Canceron fleet. What? So Fleet Group 79 is Canceron? And Fleet Group 72 is Canceron? Oh no. I see what the problem is. That whole time I was saying that this was the Canceron Defense Fleet that went there and dealt with that. That's not the case. It's the Sagittarian Fleet. But I suppose it's a good move either way, because it's a much bigger fleet. But they need to get back to Sagittarian. So we'll start those jumps, I suppose. Sagittarian is right there. So that's what I did. It's just that it was so long ago I'd forgotten that I'd given up on the Canceron fleet defending their own land, their own planet, and I'd brought in the Sagittarian fleet knowing that it was more capable. That explains that. So yeah, go ahead and get ready for a jump. That said, the Canceron fleet can get back to Canceron. Is this them? Fleet Group 79. Canceron. Alright, yeah, that's them. Fleet Group 79 is authorized for a jump to Canceron. Just about the same time as the Sagittarian fleet is going to be jumping away. We do have a mission in chemical warfare. I'm going to avoid that for a little bit. After all, I want to prioritize this housekeeping situation. And these little markers with a 5 on them, that means they're time sensitive. I don't think we're going to do this one because, well, Because essentially you've got two Cylon fleets right there. One associated with the mission, and the other one is that. The one associated with the mission is really not visible. It's just assumed that it's there, just as there is a Cylon fleet here, probably, that we're just not seeing because it's a mission. Last thing I want to check is about how long it's going to take to produce these ships. They will be out next turn. So, good deal. I think I will stick around for a little longer and get those out into Helios Alpha so they can reinforce the fleet that wants to jump back to Toron and essentially defend their home. That's the idea, anyways. Should I save? Yeah. Yeah, I should save. 10 months of consternation. I think I had better. I could. Well, see, that's the thing. Like, they limit the amount of ships you can have in a fleet. So I could send the Sagittarian fleet to link up with the Tauron fleet, but they wouldn't technically link up. The best I could do is loan the Tauron fleet a couple ships from the Sagittarian fleet. Because I think the Tauron fleet has currently got 5. Sagittarian fleet's maxed out, except that they could bring on a supply ship. That's kind of like an optional 8th ship that each fleet could have. And I'm not a big fan of the fact that they cap the fleets. I know they do it just to keep that frame rate going as best as possible. I see the 77, 78 Galactica in the background of that fleet photo. Actually, we want to postpone that mission. That's interesting, too. Fleet Group 70 that will be charged with completing this mission, they're a 5-ship fleet as well. Not the best fleet to deal with that, so they, too, will need some kind of reinforcement. Fortunately, that mission doesn't have a timer, so it's good to go. We can leave it.
New
So we
adamant has
postpone.
been deployed.
Good deal. New adamant. See, I'm not getting popping off of their voices, so I almost think the popping was coming from in-game. And truly, if the stream is suffering from popping, you'd hear it in my voice too. And I don't know if that's the case, because I can't hear my own voice. That would drive me crazy. I'll leave that punishment to the viewer. So we've got these new ships out. They could escort. Actually, now that you mention it, another fleet could stand as an escort for these. Because then if they're attacked by Cylons, it'll ask me to choose which fleet is going to... Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. Lieutenant Colonel Murray will give him orders to escort these carriers. That said, the carriers need to link up into a fleet together. So what is that going to be? Fleet Group 133 and 34. So we'll transfer this one to 133. And then we also... One of our main fleets lacks a flagship. It didn't lose one, it just doesn't have one yet. And that would be Fleet Group 91, wouldn't it? Yeah, 91 and 90. 92's only a flagship. 91 needs a flagship. So the... Usambara, I really don't know. Usambara, it will go ahead and transfer to Fleet Group 91. Okay, So now the fleet group that has the 2 carriers can go ahead and begin preparations for a jump. They will jump to, well, really almost doesn't matter, I guess, Sagittarion, because after all, the Sagittarion fleet is heading there. Yep. So they too will jump to Sagittarion, and that's where they'll link up and then proceed from there.
Fleet group is ready to jump.
Alright, so that'll unify the carriers with an escort fleet, which will start to head out to Helios Alpha. This way, if they're attacked, at least the Sagittarion fleet can serve as a defense. I do believe I need to start producing additional ships. Honestly, if I have the requisition points, I can look to unlocking another ship's blueprints. And so ships that I haven't unlocked yet. The Ranger. And now we'd be into a proper cruiser class, and this thing is a beast in terms of missiles. It's got decent armor, but great missile capabilities. So it's definitely something that I wanna put out there. I do have the requisition points to go ahead and unlock the blueprints and begin production. So that's a viable option. This one is already unlocked. So that's the only one that's not unlocked in terms of capital ships. Let's turn to battle stars. The Artemis Battle Star, the 1978-79 Battlestar Galactica ship. Boy. You know, it's one of those things, technically I can unlock it, I just don't have the requisition points yet. To get requisition points, I need to do what they would call resource missions, which are those purple missions with the timer. And it's just a matter of, do I want to just go straight to the Battlestar, or do I want to get a cruiser involved first? And I am leaning toward bringing the cruiser in first. You can also unlock additional munitions, which I've got most of those unlocked. And then fighters. Like, I can unlock Viper Mark IIs, which would be great. It costs 800, so if I unlocked that, I would not be able to unlock the Ranger. So now I'm kind of torn. Do I want to spend this on the Ranger, or do I want to spend this on Viper Mark IIs? You know, upgrading those fighters would be kind of nice. Then again, getting at least a few cruisers out there might be a game changer, but... No popping on your end? Okay, glad to hear it. Audio seems fine to me. Good deal. Then it was just in the game. The game might have just been having problems with... And the cracking seemed to only be around the explosion. Hell, explosions, maybe that's part of the game. I don't know. Yes, that's exactly it. Yep, we are at Ragnar Anchorage, building our fleet. And in fact, what's kind of... So to research that first Battlestar, it's really just a matter of getting those requisition points. Doing a couple of those resource missions, or some more story missions. Because otherwise I'm set to unlock the Artemis anyways. And then as the story progresses, we'll have the capability to get some Battlestars. Also, the Battlestars exist. It's weird that they make you unlock blueprints, because they exist. The Galactica is already out there. It's not under my command, unfortunately. But it does exist. It's out there, so it's kind of weird. Like, I haven't developed blueprints for the Jupiter class, but there are Jupiter class out there. I've seen 2 of them so far. I think one was the Athena, and yeah, the other one's the Galactica. Neither of which I can control. I will be able to, ultimately, obviously. Gosh, I'm thinking Ranger. I just wonder if it's a mistake not upgrading my fighters, because I really don't know what the Cylons are upgrading. I don't know what they're working on. So I don't know how to match them per se. And I truly feel like the converse is the consideration that they're going to match us. It's not us matching them. So maybe Viper Mark II. I feel like I'm just taking a baby step here, but that's what I'm going to do. Viper Mark II it is. And that means, of course, I can't afford to unlock the cruiser. Alright. Alright. Well, I could do one of these resource missions. Again, not the one in Helios Alpha. That's just got too many roadblocks. But this one, Tactical Advantage, they call it. At least let's see what the briefing is on Tactical Advantage.
This particular fleet has been making life hell for the colonies. Local forces have been unable to slow it down at all. We suspect the flagship might have some new trick up its sleeve that we haven't seen yet, so caution is advised.
Look at that. Okay, so the rewards for this mission is Tillium, of course, fuel. We get only 300 requisition points, which is not as many as I wanted. However, you also get a 500 point discount to the Ranger Blueprint specifically. So if they're not begging for me to do that, well, yeah, they clearly kind of are. So now it's just a matter of find a fleet. Which one of these fleets in the area? The Sagittarian fleet, I think, is the best disposed. Well, that's a full fleet right there. And what fleet is that exactly? That's Lieutenant Colonel Bowler. It is the Liebern Defense Fleet. They have not seen much action. But they are warships. They have not seen any action. Not one of these ships has ever... No, I take it back. They have seen a modicum of action, just not much. Not enough to get any kind of commendations or anything like that. They are technically a full fleet, because I consider a frigate a flagship. I want it supported by 2 carriers and at least 3 corvettes, and that is exactly what they've got. Let's take a look at the other fleet that is in that area, that is in that system. And that is going to be the Scorpion fleet, commanded by Suzette Harrison, Lieutenant Colonel Harrison. It does appear to have one more ship than the Liebern fleet. It's got its flagship, the Fearless, supported by... No, it doesn't have one more ship. It's got the same amount, supported by 2 carriers and 3 corvettes. They might be the ones to do this. I'm going to go ahead and let this turn end before I go jumping there. I just want to see what the Cylons are going to do, I suppose. Oh my. That changes everything. Okay, we're
Fleet group is
postponing
ready
that.
to jump.
What I commented on there was the situation at Toron has changed. The Cylons have left. So, the Toron fleet, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Malley, they can fly back there. You know, whether the Cylons will pop right back in, you know, whether they're baiting us, I don't know. We'll find out. But we'll go ahead and we'll jump. We'll jump to Toron. And while that doesn't solve the existing problem is that fleet will need those extra ships no matter what. boy, it at least takes reclaiming the space around their planet off the table. Now, I had considered sending the Sagittarian fleet to deal with this pressing issue at Helios Gamma, where we can get those resource points. But the only thing is, I guess that's almost just like using the same guy over and over again. You know, like, that fleet's going to get better, great, but then you're just letting your other ships kind of wither on the vine, or your other fleets. So, we will continue with the intended plan, which is to escort those ships out to Helios Alpha and get them distributed to the fleets that need them. Yeah, Cocalus, we want to jump there. No, did it not register? Did I not do that right? Hold on, what's going on here? Our wires are getting crossed. I sent orders, but I don't think they received them. You have orders to jump to Cocalus. Oh, I see. They need to spool up their jump drives. They're essentially saying, can we wait? Can you give us a break? You just had us fight a battle and then jump all over the place. High Command, can you chill for a second? Well, can the carriers jump? No, the carriers are asking to wait as well. So we'll grant them that, and we will... What was the fleet that had the Fearless as a flagship? This was it. So, Lieutenant Colonel Harrison, I am ordering the Scorpion fleet to go deal with that situation. And who knows? Who knows how this will go? But make preparations for your jump. And that is the planet Thanatos. Sure enough, that will do it, I think, for this round. I should be producing more ships, though. I neglected that. I know I need another Berserk carrier. I'll toss out another Corvette and a Celestra support ship. That's what they'll be working on. And let's see what the Cylons want to do.
Detected a Cylon escort fleet, sir. A fortified colony is under attack.
Whoa, 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 whoa. That's a lot of stuff on the board. What? Okay. Colonial Fleet 74 has encountered Cylons. She can deal with this on her own, I think. If there's a less than 15% chance of casualties, I don't feel like, as High Command, I need to have eyes on it. So I'm gonna risk it and let it auto-resolve. Do what you're gonna do, Fleet. Luck be a lady. Okay, good. Yeah, she took care of it. And that's kind of nice. You don't have to deal with the battle. They got experience out of that. It's all around a good deal. Again, if it's above 15% risk of casualties, I'd like to take manual control of it. But so we got that off the board anyways.
A fortified colony is under attack.
And where is this? This is Canceron. We just fought a battle there. 7% chance of casualties, so I'm going to leave it up to the Canceronian, if that's right, Canceron fleet to deal with that. Don't lose any ships. Excellent, excellent. Okay. So now we are at the mission entitled Tactical Advantage, which we just looked at the briefing for. The Scorpion fleet is there, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Harrison, aboard the Fearless. And she has, again, what I would consider a full fleet. I am going to initiate that battle. And yeah, I am going to step away for a second, though, if you'll please pardon me. I will return. They, if the isn't much of an upgrade. Oh, yeah. See, I was so torn. If I'd be up and up on my comments in the chat, that probably would have swayed me. But I did what I did, and hey, I guess it works out because we'll get that. We'll get the Ranger here because we'll get the credit, the 500 credit. Will make this affordable. That'll leave me broke in terms of RP and in terms of RP, in terms of requisition points. But I think it'll be worth it just to get a cruiser or two out there. Then the question is, which fleet deserves a cruiser? You know, you got to start that whole game where it's like, who do we send these first few new ships to? In the end, they'll all get them. Most of them, anyways. But I totally agree they can't stay rookies forever. You got to throw them in there. Alrighty, Samuel. Thanatos, wasn't that a bogus medical testing company a few years ago? Sounds like a good name for him. Alright, now before I place these, I am going to step away just for a moment, about a minute and a half, if you'll bear with me. I will be right back. If in the meantime you gotta go, I totally understand it. And be well, and thank you in the first place for stopping by. Otherwise, talk to you soon. You might run out of requisition points, but you'll always have RP. Much appreciated. So at this point, I don't know what this fleet will encounter, of course. Whether it's going to be something that can easily trump us, or something we can trounce, but let's see if we can find the location of the enemy signals. They're behind us. Interesting. Okay, and there's only 5 of them. So we're at equal number. We will stay at range initially. So I'll put us up in this corner. Put the Fearless low, because its guns are mainly topside. And actually, what might not be a bad idea is maybe not put it so low. Bring it out just a tad, that way it can be flanked on both sides by carriers. Light carriers. These light carriers are great early game, but as the war progresses and technology improves, they do become antiquated. There will come a point where I want to get them out of the fleets and, well, truly decommission them, sadly. But for now, those guns that they bring to bear, plus their fighter capability, is definitely a welcome treat. Speaking of fighters, they can actually be hauling Viper Mark IIs. So that's awesome. We're going to put these boys to the test. Boys and girls. I mean, it's an integrated fleet. The Fearless will keep carrying Raptors. It could carry fighters, but the Raptors still have some uses, even if they can't disarm mines for some reason. Our 3 Corvettes, the Apollo, the Ares, and the Vanguard. Our light carriers are the Amit, and I feel like the Amit's been around for a while. And the Irazu. Boy, I like the name of the flagship, the Fearless. Alright, Lieutenant Colonel Harrison, that's all I've got for you. Good luck. Oh, it was Theranos.
In 3, 2, 1. Dratus contact. Marks on the board. Nothing out of the ordinary so far.
Well, yeah, hopefully we don't get any surprises. Okay, well, I'm glad I brought the Raptor. They want us to board the flagship. Okay. Just considering her moves. Let's go full speed.
On it, Commander. Understood.
Keep that distance, you know. We'll try to... Actually, we'll ignite thrusters on the capital ships. That way
Understood.
They can sort of keep pace with the Corvettes.
So say we all.
And of course, at the same time, we'll go ahead and launch both fighter squadrons and the Raptor squadron.
Understood.
And the hope is these Viper Mark
Launching
IIs
Raptors.
really make a difference here. Once they get their mission accomplished, that is boarding the enemy flagship, whatever it is. It's probably not a big flagship. Once we've pretty much got that taken care of, if we do, I'll swing those Corvettes around and they'll serve as the Vanguard. In fact, I think one of them's called the Vanguard. Yeah, they'll serve as the Vanguard in our attack. But we do want to square this away first.
Drinks on the first nugget to lose their kill slot.
The side effect of sending a Raptor out there is we'll get an ID on these ships, and once you ID them, then you can open up a long-range ordnance. You can open up with the missiles and whatnot. For some reason, you can't fire that kind of ordnance at something that you can't identify, which I think is kind of strange.
On it,
you
Commander.
should be able to, but it's the rules of the game. All right, so Raptor Squadron. Here's the fear. The fear is that some of these ships might be gunships. That is to say, those Cerestes class gunships. So maybe it would be best to have the Raptor Squadron like head off to one flank and then come back in. And we will make sure that they are... Let's put these 2 fighter squadrons in a group. We will call it Red Squadron. And what that does is then if I give an order to one element of them, it goes for all of them. So they will have orders to defend the Raptor Squadron. And that's it. Same thing goes for them. They need to ID us before they can shoot guided ordnance. They could shoot torpedoes. Torpedoes are unguided. Oh, I should make sure we're not going to wreck into anything. There's a lot of space rocks. We're
We're going
good.
to make them pay.
Alright, everything's still proceeding according to plan. If they continue to follow our main fleet, that's what I'm hoping. You know, they'll keep on a straight course, and then we can circumnavigate them and come in and get him, since he is the rear ship. So we'll just keep on keeping on.
Fighter squadron is taking fire.
It's a lot of fire. Yep, they already lost one fighter. Let's kind of move this way. Gee, this is not ideal. I feel like we're really risking these fighters. I hate to do this, but I'm recalling the fighters. I'm sorry, Raptor, you just lost your fighter support. I'm becoming convinced that these two are, in fact, States class gunships, which is about as anti-fighter as you can get. But they're anti-Raptor, too, so this is dangerous. In fact, let's go for a bold move. Go ahead and attempt to board. Once they board, the States will stop firing on them because they don't want to hit their own ship. But he's going to be flying a gauntlet here. The hope is that they'll maintain fire on the fighter squadrons and kind of leave him alone. We will see. Here goes.
Hostile unit identified.
Yep, that's the States. That is two. That is two. That is two.
Squadron has gone dark.
We have failed the mission. It all came down to that. Okay. Alright, so we're obviously jumping out of there. Well, hey, I mean, that's... I don't know what I could have done. Damn. Maybe they should have kept their fighter escort, but all that would accomplish is making the fighters be a target instead of the Raptors. But let's see what happens. Does it take the mission away, or is it still going to exist for 3 rounds? I jumped in past them, yeah. Oh, that's not great. No, the mission's gone. Oh, Lieutenant Colonel Harrison, head back home. You tried. Hey, wait a minute. The Cylons have left this area. Okay. Well, what is that mission? Because if nothing else, we do have a couple fleets in Helios Alpha that could respond to that rather quickly.
A civilian freighter has sent out a distress signal after a failed atmospheric entry attempt. Go see what's wrong.
We're not going to get those requisition points that we wanted. This will only yield us 200. But 200's better than none. And yes, we do have fleets in the area that I hope would be capable of dealing with that. It's a freighter distress signal, obviously. Let's take a look at our fleets in Helios Alpha. Fleet Group 73 is the Pycon Defense Fleet, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Hardy, Padmavati Hardy. It is it's a full fleet. You got your flagship, No, it's a weird fleet. It is not supported by 2 carriers. It's supported by 1 carrier and 4 corvettes. Nonetheless, it's got to be stronger than the Tauron fleet. Yeah, it is. It is. Just in that it has 1 extra corvette. Well, I'm going to charge her with that mission. Check that one more time. She's from PyCon? Well, where are we at? I mean, is she currently stationed at PyCon, or is PyCon where the problem is? Yeah, she's stationed at PyCon. Situation is developed at Geminon. We'll get her heading there for their relief. The freighter's relief, that is. Now, let's also see if the Sagittarian fleet... Well, a few things, really. The Scorpion fleet can jump back home. Actually, they want to recharge the Telium, so let's have them sit there for a second. Meanwhile, these ships are ready to jump. Jumping out to Coculus. Coculus is it's obviously a bottleneck, but a lot of times the Cylons are there waiting for you. But I would argue the Sagittarian fleet is one of our best fleets as it stands, so maybe maybe this will work out. Another thing I need to do is I had neglected that a few fleets got into combat, and we'll need repairs. So let's do that. Now, I know I asked, once I start unlocking these cruisers, who's going to get them first. I think what I'll do is I'll look for the highest ranking officers. If I was gaming the system, so to speak, I would give those ships to my lowest ranking officers because they would need it the most. At least then what they lack in experience, they'd make up for in firepower. But in more of a roleplay sense, I think I would give the biggest ships to the highest ranking. That will do it. Let me check, see how our ship construction's going. We've got... Okay, they're coming out. But yeah, we're not getting a cruiser anytime real soon. I got the base game pack when it released. I've bought all the DLC except for one pack, and it's the last. They called them seasons. It's the last season, and considering I haven't done season 2 or season 3 yet, I've never gotten past season 1. Because honestly, I feel like there is enough content here to keep me busy, and it sure has. But season 2, I know you, instead of Daedalus Station... Oh, and spoiler alert, Daedalus Station, it's a shipyard. It's a mobile shipyard. And we moved it to Ragnar. We had orders to do that. I mean, I can move it out onto the board now. But initially, they wanted you to move it to Ragnar Anchorage. And if it looks familiar, yeah, it is. It is Ragnar Anchorage. But at this time, it's called Daedalus Shipyard. But they end up leaving it there because they don't need it anymore once PyCon is back at full strength, So it's kind of cool that that's exactly what that is. It's Ragnar Anchorage from the TV series. But at this time, it's fleet headquarters, and it's temporarily fleet headquarters. I wouldn't say it's a big historical time for it to be, This is just a very brief window in the big scheme of things. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. Like, I recognize that thing. Who knew that it once served such a more important purpose?
Cylon escort group has been detected.
Yes, indeed, they are attacking at Kokolas. Trying to attack those two carriers, but, of course, they are inadvertently attacking Fleet Group 72, which is the Sagittarian fleet, which is
A
one of our
fortified
most
colony is
potent
under
fleets.
attack.
Oh, hell, actually, there's a lot more going on than that. See, this is the problem with streaming this, is you end up... Like this one, I have to fight manually. Or jump away. Actually, scratch that. I'm jumping away. I hate to do that, but maybe the Cylons will leave. Yep, emergency jump.
A fortified colony is under attack.
Where's this one? This is Aquarius. It's a full fleet. Jump away. Because I have priorities right now. It's not... Besides, knowing the story to Battlestar Galactica, we
Escort
gotta
group
get
is
used to
engaging
jumping
hostiles.
away. I think we can auto-resolve this. 8%. That's very minimal risk of losing his ship. Watch, I'll lose the capital ship for doing this, but... Auto-resolve. I will leave it in the hands of Fleet Group Sagittarius. Come on, you should decimate them. Yep. Good deal.
Escort group is under attack.
There's 2 Cylon fleets? What? Oh, man. Okay. Might actually cost me less Tillium to manually jump out of there. Let's proceed. This is not good. Essentially, they distracted the Sagittarian fleet. The Sagittarian fleet trounced the distraction fleet. And then another slightly smaller fleet attacked the 2 carriers, and that's what we're going into now. And I have no doubt that these carriers are going to jump out of here, but I'm taking a look at it just to see if there's any chance. And I don't think there is, but you're not going to know unless you look. What's all this auto-streaming while the sun's up? I know. Yes, auto-resolve this. Was that the Sagittarian fleet fighting the Cylon fleet? The defense? I was tempted to, just to make sure all the ships survived, but it worked. I do have faith in them, that they, of all fleets, that would be one that wouldn't take casualties. I didn't realize that it was a trap. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Cylon ships. This is where they get you, when you're trying to move small elements of fleets. By the way, Strawn, how are you doing today? It's not gonna work. We just need to get out of here, is really our only option. Now, the problem is, are we gonna jump backwards? If we emergency jumped into Helios Alpha, that'd be great. But something tells me we're gonna turn tail and come back the way we came.
Prepare to jump in 3, 2, 1.
We don't need to jump. We were already here. But okay.
Yes, sir.
Launch Vipers. And turn away. And then next
Yes,
round
Commander.
we'll hit the thrusters and get moving at full speed. And then in some subsequent round, we're going to start to spool up our FDLs and prepare to make a jump. It's sort of a blind jump.
Check your
Sort of.
scoring gauges.
I hate the flight before the first shot.
Assign group, let's make this Red Squadron. Red Squadron. Go tell us what we're up against. Or whatever it is, it's bigger and meaner than us, but hit those thrusters
Yes,
and put
Commander.
some distance between us and them.
On it,
If
Commander.
for some crazy reason they're able to fire ordnance, we'll get right to spooling up the FTLs. Come on, get us an idea on something. Damn, they're launching a lot of fighters. Alright, we are at full speed getting out of there. Please target that first fighter group.
Yes, sir.
It's not a good idea.
Got it.
What is that lead
IFS
ship?
confirms unit is
Sarah
hostile.
stays, that
Fighter
sucks.
squadron is taking fire.
You gotta get out of there. It's not the enemy fighters that I'm so concerned about, obviously. Okay, here's an idea. Trying to think of how to get these fighters out of here. Let's select a target. Let's go for the rear ship. Flying right through them. Because what I think that'll do, and I may be wrong. Okay, this group, they're actually going to break away from Red Squadron, and instead they're going to defend the other fighter squadron. That way, if some of these fighters move to pursue, at least that second fighter squadron is actually going to be attacking them. What I think, to finish my thought, what I think is going to happen is Sarah Stays knows that it's happy attacking fighters, so it is probably going to turn around and pursue them. It isn't. It's proceeding after our carriers. Huh. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Shit, well, attack those enemy fighters, and you keep moving to identify those other ships. Actually, it doesn't matter if you identify them. Select target. Take out the other fighter squadron. If nothing
Squadron
else, you
target
can
is confirmed.
lure the Sarah Stays to turn around. If the Sarah Stays continues to follow our carriers, and he doesn't get supported by the rest of his fleet, then I'm willing to throw 2 light carriers at a Sarah Stays. I think I'm quite confident who would win that contest, and it's not the Sarah Stays, it's us. And what a coup! I mean, if before jumping out of here we can take out a ship and give one of these crews some experience, that'd be alright. That'd be real nice. And even if the Sarah Stays is supported by a fighter squadron, these light carriers have a lot of guns. Cerestate is not turning around.
Turkey right 4, lower 3. I'm committed.
They're bringing in that third fighter squadron that is no longer supporting the Cerestate. He's coming to the fighter. He's heading to the dogfight. Unfortunately, I miscalculated. That is a Cerestate, probably. Just judging from the amount of fire it's putting out. So you know what?
Recalling
We'll
squadron.
recall them. We'll have them be defended by them. One fighter squadron defended by the other. If they don't make it back, well, I salute them. If they do make it back, we jump as soon as they get back. I do believe we'll lose one of those squadrons. I am liking the fact that Cerestate is separating, though. Where's the other fighter squadron? Yeah, one's already been knocked out. Well, they fought valiantly. If this one doesn't make it back, and I don't think he will. In fact, let's go ahead and... Oh, the temptation to destroy that Cerestate. Yep, let's go ahead and... So yeah, it might actually cost less Tillium to start the round and retreat manually. We've got about 3 rounds until we're out of here.
Drive full on your mark, Captain.
Unless I change something.
IFF confirms unit is hostile.
What is it? We've identified another one. Yep, indeed it was another fighter killer. And it's killing our fighters. Well, all the more confidence in a withdrawal then.
I don't care where we go. Jump us now.
Here we go. We are going to jump. We are leaving our fighters behind. I know it's not right. But they knew what they were signing up for. So damn, the Cylons sure did frustrate our convoy. Do a quick replay of that, as brief as it is.
Conclusions before engaging.
I hate the quiet before the first shot.
Watch your intervals, people.
Right, got it.
I have not. I think he might have matured a little bit. It's just by like 0.1%. They did not find a way back aboard. It's okay, because the game kind of cheats in a way. You can lose your Vipers. When you repair your fleet, you get new ones. No matter where you're at, strangely.
Help us now!
But, no, they did. One squadron was destroyed outright. The other one, I don't know, there were 3 or 4 fighters left when we jumped away. It's unfortunate. I don't think they would have survived. Don't worry, you're still a free aim trash boy in our eyes, Otto. Thank you. Thank you. That means the world to me. That means so much. Oh, where did they jump? And what are we doing here? Okay, well, let's first figure out where did they jump. They did jump backwards. They jumped back into Helios Gamma. Damn. Damn. You know, jumping forward would have been just as safe. Rather, just as dangerous, depending on how you'd want to phrase it. Well, don't want to proceed or postpone. I've still got around to do this. I guess proceed. This is the Pycon fleet. I want to say that it's commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Haley. And I just want to make sure this is the right one. This is freighter. Yeah, okay. So she's going to try to net us some requisition points. Hopefully she does better than Lieutenant Colonel Harrison. Not that Lieutenant Colonel Harrison did terrible. You know, she didn't lose any ships. None of her ships even got hit except for fighters. And those 2 Raptors. That was the big thing that compromised it. We just had no means of boarding the enemy ship. It was frustrating, but not catastrophic, luckily. But maybe Hallie or Haley. Let's just go with Haley. Maybe she'll do better. Of course, this means getting these civilians out of here. It's what is it again? It's a civilian frigate that has got a distress beacon out. And rightfully so, it appears. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 marks on Dratus. We have a lot. We've got 4 Corvettes. Okay, so I really think this is just going to be a matter of them spooling up their FDL and getting out of here. This is to say the civilian frigate. They really just need to spool up and run. Now, after that, I imagine High Command will say, you know, go ahead and remove the Cylons while you're here. Which is sort of unfortunate. I'd kind of like to jump with the civilians, but we'll keep the fleet rather compact. Let's go back up here, and we only have 1 fighter squadron. Unless I switch out these Raptors for fighters. But I don't think I'm going to do that. What I will do is put them in the middle. Keep them low. Put the carrier virtually right on top of them. And that'll do.
Fleet group is jumping in 3, 2, 1. Contact with objective. Civilian IFF confirmed. Hostiles are also in the zone.
Right, that's all. that was all expected. Let's see, you know those pilots are prisoners of unfeeling machines now. Yes. Yes, yes they are. Um, so did you ever figure out what he was on about? I didn't. Although I think he fought two of us and killed, maybe combined killed us 6 times and only died once. I don't know. That's my takeaway. I would have gone back and tried to figure it out myself, but you did almost 5 hours of streaming on the 9th. Yeah, that's a bit much. Even if you go at like 2 times speed, it's a bit much. So the civilian ship will head straight toward us and climb. We'll go ahead and launch everything.
Yes, sir.
Which isn't a lot, but it's everything. Oof, 12 rounds until this thing can get out of here. So, under those circumstances, we are going to have a fight, even if we're allowed to jump away. We need to identify those enemies. Kinda ASAP would be great. That'll mean getting the Raptors out there. Might have the Raptors land on them too. Land on the civilian frigate. But honestly, it would be good to use the Raptors to spot. I hate to do this knowing that there could be Saracens out there, but we gotta send the fighters out. Slow down all ships. Well, actually, we'll just have them match speed with the capital ships. And let's stagger a little bit so we can fire missiles and not hit each other, because they do come out the sides of these things.
Yes, sir.
I think that'll do.
We're going to make them pay.
Fire control warmed up and preparing solution.
There we go. And yeah, at this point we'll send the Raptors. We'll send the Raptors out to identify. Fighters are moving out too. And that's that. So what did we do on that ship? Absolutely nothing. It's just my sick
Fighter
role
squadron
play
is
sense.
taking fire.
I felt like we should drop off mechanics to
IFF
help them get
confirms
their
unit is hostile.
FDLs pulled up. We're running into a lot of Sarastage glass. I'm gonna recall these fighters.
Squadron.
I'm gonna send these guys kind of off to the left flank. And let's get started, shall we?
Action stations.
We put all Corvettes in offensive mode and
Commander.
open up on that son of a bitch. I mean, since we're able to ID them, we can hit them with guided ordnance. And we are going to hit them with 4 salvos, I guess. Truth is, our flagship can fire too. If nothing is obstructing it, yeah, it can fire. And the hope is this will just be enough on its own to remove
Missiles on their way.
Sarastase. Thing is, I know this is a Sarastase too because look at the amount of fire it's putting out. Okay. Wow, what about our civilian ship? Where is he? And the thing is, he's got to
Commander.
kind of stay close. You know, like, on the one hand, you might say, well, why don't you just send him far to the rear? Well, because more Cylons can jump in. And they will. They'll jump in just on him and destroy him. So he's got to stay somewhat close to our fleet. And the trouble there is our fleet needs to engage because they have these fighter killers. So we actually need to send the big guns over to them.
IFF confirms unit is hostile.
Get turrets on that thing as well. I mean, these are tough
On it,
little
Commander.
ships. These Cerestage class. It's not just the anti-fighter aspect. It's they have a good amount of armor too. So we'll put 3 of the Corvettes on them. Oh man, are you serious? The Cylons have spammed us with Cerestage classes. So recall that. I mean, they're just not safe. This is not a battle for fighters, apparently. I need to make some adjustments with the fleet composition here. We need to turn slightly to port to get broadside on that. Get our posture up to attack. Yes, it is. And we need to do the same thing with the light carrier, because after all, it's got a lot of guns. And make sure that they're in an offensive posture. Although I hate turning into 4 Cerestage, because even though they're fighter killers, well, you got 4 of them combined. That's a capital ship killer at that point, I think.
Squadron has gone dark.
Damn. This is a mess. This is an absolute clusterfuck. Get turrets on that ship. If any of my ships do not have turrets on that ship, then essentially they're not helping at this point.
Yes, Commander.
Alright. The Corvettes can start to turn to port, just to keep their forward guns on that Cerestage. Here goes. Come on, destroy it.
Civilian ship is taking damage. Understood.
You know, I said I'm reluctant to send the civilian ship off on its own. Yeah, well, it's got to. It can't stay in this. Wow, the amount of damage they've done to our capital ship, to Haley's ship, is insane. So it's right in front are in trouble. It needs to turn really hard to starboard, like an emergency turn. The Montpellier should do the same. We need to focus our guns on the same target. I don't think she's not getting out of here without losing a ship or 2. And hopefully it's not hers. Ooh, take all that back. We need to hit the most forward Cerestage because it can get guns on the civilian ship.
Yes, Commander.
Everything on that.
On it, Commander.
Everything. the Pycon Defense Fleet is not going to forget this day, because it's not going to be good. I can tell already. We bit off more than we could chew. Everybody's going to keep up that attack because it just takes so much to put one of these down. Okay, Nuggets, weapons are free. Get out there and engage those toasters. I will try not to die while you're away. Alright, Samuel, be well. Thank you for stopping by. Always good to see you. Let's see what we can do to this.
The civilian ship is being attacked.
Oh, our flagship is in such bad shape. This is really unfortunate. I'm gonna launch fighters just because the Sarastays, I mean, they're gonna get destroyed.
Yes,
the
sir.
Sarastays will go out of their way to target the fighters over the capital ships. And the capital ships are taking a hell of a beating right now. So they need that. Yeah, fire missiles. Yeah, fire. If you got them, fire them. Of course, this guy should not fire them because, for fear of hitting his own ships. Unless, of course, he targets a different opponent. Which that may be doable. Let's hit that.
On it, Commander.
I think he could get away with shooting at the one that I want to hit, which is him. And we have one more Corvette that needs to do something here. And so he'll fire guided missiles as well. And as for the civilian, how's it going? Not great. He is taking fire. And that fire is starting to affect his navigations, which could screw the whole thing. This is not going well.
Civilian ship is being attacked. Adamant is taking damage.
Our flagship needs to go into emergency procedures because we have we've
All
lost
hands
a
on deck.
fair amount of armor, and it's on the verge of losing it. Which means Lieutenant Colonel Haley could be dead here in a second. Let's see, right in front,
say
we're
we all.
damaged on that, so we've got our left to the enemy. This is just not working. I mean, the fact that they spammed us with Sarastays is not good. The one upside, if there is any, is that the
Yes, sir.
Corvettes really aren't getting targeted. I mean, they're aiming for the big ships. And here in a second, they're going to be aiming for those fighters that I just launched. Which, again, I only launched to be a bullet sponge. Just knowing that the Sarastays just get giddy when they see fighters. They love to target them. Because that's their primary function. And maybe that'll give our capital ship, our flagship, a little slack. Speaking of which, the flagship truly needs to try to get out of here.
So say we all.
I'm almost considering having the flagship actually jump out. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and give them orders to jump. I can belay that order if I have to. But I think, yeah, she needs to start spooling up her FDL, otherwise she's gonna lose. The flagship, and that is just too much for a fucking civilian frigate that's gonna give us 200 requisition points. And meanwhile, how is that civilian ship? Let's get him turned away a little more. Here he goes. Now, this is the one we've been working on, and it's just not... It's not having the effect that I wanted. They still got 4 Sarah on the board. We've only taken down 1. Now they are starting to focus on the Corvettes. Not to great effect, luckily. Can anybody fire missiles? Or has everybody expended them and is now reloading? If anything's good, to look at a silver lining, the Sarah now have their backs to us. Excuse me, I hit my mic. And knowing what I know about that class of ship,
On it, Commander.
It lacks guns on the rear. It does have guns up top, so it is probably able to put out a little bit of fire, but they're truly most effective if they're coming at you from a low position. I should actually not say low position. I can't be sure about that, but I do know getting them. Yeah, if they've got their rear to you, you're in much better shape. Just hit whatever you can hit. And the flagship, at this point, will fire up their boosters and get even further away.
Yes, sir.
Maybe even link up with the civilian ship, if that's a possibility. Let's try to do that. Because who knows? They might jump out together. But if we can keep these things on the run, of course, as soon as they start to turn, they're going to have more leverage. Our fighter squadron is in terrible shape, but we knew that this was a suicide mission, essentially. For now, I'll have them attack that. And let's see what happens. You will notice less fire coming from the Sarah though. Slightly.
Civilian ship is taking damage.
Yes, they are. And the Sarah are faster ships than that civilian ship, so it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse before it gets better. If they can just hold out for a little bit longer, they'll be out of here. Let's kick on the thrusters with this one and get him.
Yes, Commander.
Hauling ass. Wow, one of my light carriers versus the Sarah I would put my money on the light carrier. This one's in such bad shape.
Yes, sir.
It needs to turn away. Yeah, they're really stepping up their attacks on this. Do I have any missiles to fire? None. Next round. They tell me next round.
Civilian ship is being attacked.
Civilian ship may not survive this at this point. Yeah, that's not good. It's not good. We need to destroy the closest to the civilian ship. Well, that
Yes,
one's
Commander.
almost dead too, so might as well fire it. Everybody that can fire missiles, fire missiles. Damn. Alright, batten down the hatches, go into defensive mode and turn your stern to them because, I guess, yeah. I guess you got armor there, and dive. Good news and bad news, I forgot about my flagship, and so it jumped out of there, it just left. That's not great. But it is, you know, it is what it is.
Berserk is taking damage.
Giving us a hell of a storm, sir.
Manticore is taking damage.
Oh my. The freighter's out of there. Do we have any chance of winning this contest? I don't think we do. The Montpellier should begin jump preparations. It can't stay in this fight. Jump. Decisions. I don't know if this means I'll fail the mission, but I will personally be okay with the civilians getting out of there. All ships, prepare to jump. We're not staying here. We're not putting up with this.
On it, Commander. On it, Commander.
The Montpellier's in a bad way.
Berserk is taking damage. Manticore is taking damage.
Very bad way. It can't. Well, okay, its navigations are still good, so we're going to boost thrusters and try to... Though this takes it out of defensive mode, I'm going to add more distance. It's not going to be enough, but neither is being in defensive mode. There's nothing for it. It has been, I mean, there's three Sarah stays on it.
Berserk is taking damage. Berserk down. All hostiles are down. Civilian is free to move.
Okay. I mean, sure, that's how it's going to be. Mission accomplished, mission successful. We got the civilians out of there, but we did lose a light carrier, and I think it was wise to withdraw afterwards. They wanted me to destroy the enemy ships, but apparently it wasn't mission critical. So truly, if I had to do it over again, I would have begun preparations to jump out of there as soon as I realized that the civilians were getting out of there. Hey, you live and learn. Here's the replay of that debacle.
All systems are nominal.
We're going to make them pay.
Fire control is warmed up and preparing solutions.
Switching guns to manual.
Just what a mess. There goes our flagship out of there. It's gotta be demoralizing, but I'm sure she announced to the fleet that she's getting the hell out. And you know, the Montpellier agreed. They're making their own preps. It just wasn't in the cards. There goes the Corvettes, and there goes our light carrier. Not the way I wanted it to go. In a way, I think we did minimize the damage once it occurred to me that this wasn't happening. Or for roleplay sense, once it occurred to Lieutenant Colonel Hardy, that's who it was, a Capone or Haley. That's somebody else. Once it occurred to her that this was a no-win situation. You know, it sucks to trade a civilian. I don't know. The capital ship of my state is about to go boom. You lost a carrier for a freighter, yeah. A freighter that's not even really going to help the war effort, I don't think. I mean, maybe they are behind the scenes, but that's a World War II equivalent of losing an escort carrier for an enemy oiler. That's true. You know, and what did we do? I don't think we destroyed two of them. We nearly destroyed a second gunship, but we only destroyed that first one. Whereas a united front, we were able to put all our fire on it, and even that took longer than I had hoped. And that's really what it is what it was. That hitting it with that many salvos and that much sustained fire, and realizing that it still took 3 turns, so to speak, for the thing to be destroyed. That's when I was like, I can't do that against 4 more that are flying in unison. That can really combine their fire. Wow, now the Pycon fleet has no carrier support. And of course, we're bringing 2 more carriers out to that system, but they got turned back, despite having probably the most powerful fleet protecting them. I gotta say, those civilians aboard the freighter may disagree with me, but I gotta hand
Corvette is ready for orders.
I gotta hand that round to the Cylons. They accomplished what they wanted to accomplish. I think they would much rather destroy one of our light carriers than a civilian frigate, after all. And they totally they frustrated our plans for resupplying Helios Alpha. Helios Alpha is clearly the most contested area. And also, I know that I jumped fleets away in the last round in order to get them out of the way of Cylon fleets. It's just across the board. That was a mess. That was absolute mess. Uh-oh. I think the missus might be home. Let me check. If so, I'll probably have to hang it up. And who knows? Maybe I am having fun with this. Maybe tonight that's what I'll stream. I'm not positive though. Stand by just for a minute here. Yep, they have returned, so it'll be time to get focused on dinner and stuff. So I will be back at this or at something here this evening. I think in the meantime, if I'm able to, I'm gonna do some housekeeping. I'm gonna try to get some reinforcements out to Helios Alpha to reinforce those 2 fleets, because there's a desperate lack of carriers in Helios Alpha now. Losing 1 more is just the icing on the cake. I'll try to reposition the fleets that had to jump away from their home planets. And, yeah, that's about it. I won't do any more story missions. I will only do those on stream. So, that will do it. I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch. I really do appreciate it. I know a game like this is not going to get the numbers that other games get, just because it's a strategy game, right? Plus, it's Battlestar. I mean, I don't know how big of a following Battlestar Galactica has. It's not Star Wars or Star Trek, but it's still one of my favorites. Anyhow, that said, I want to say thanks. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Samuel, Groucho, Strawn. I appreciate you coming by. Oh, and True Flat. Thank you too, my friend. Much appreciated. I hope you have an excellent Saturday, and I hope to see you again real soon. If you like this, if you're subscribed, I will likely talk to you again real soon. I want to say good night. Good early evening.